Hey you guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we are going over 6 makeup mistakes that I didn't know I was making. On this side of my face, I went ahead and I made all of those makeup mistakes. I used the same products and techniques that I always used when I was making these mistakes, and the same products appear on the other side of my face, but you will see what a world of difference correcting these 6 mistakes can make. So this is the face of makeup that you have seen on me in the past. And this is what my makeup looks like now. So let's jump right in. I'm gonna walk you through each mistake and how I fixed it. I hope you enjoy. Okay, you guys, so the first makeup mistake that I found I was making had to do with my eyebrows. So I'm gonna go in and show you on the right side of my face what I did. This is a product that was actually sent to me. It is by iMethod Beauty. This is one of the eyebrow stamps on the market right now. The product is actually really good. So the fact that I'm using this on the right side of my face is not speaking ill of the product here, but I'm gonna show you why it doesn't work for my face. So the way this works is you have the little stamper and the product that comes in a little glass pot, and you get several stencils actually with this. This is the one that actually worked best for my face based on their instructions. So I'm gonna go in and brush my brows up. So this is lined up appropriately based on their instructions. And I'm gonna take the stamp starting at the outer edge and fill in, letting it sort of naturally fade the closer it gets to the center of my face. So as you can see, the application is very clean. It goes on really easily, but because it is so bold, and you can do it a little bit lighter, I'm gonna grab my spoolie again here and even like brush it out, brush it up a little bit. You see how I don't have a lot of eyelid. I have a small brow bone. I do not have a prominent brow bone. I have small, in like sort of closely set, deep set eyes. So there's not a lot of space here that this is sort of trying to frame. So having a really bold brow drops it down and shrinks what landscape I have on my eyelid even a little bit more. So let me show you now what I do instead. So starting from the peak of the brow here, I'm going to draw a line going outward, always out, never down. And then what I used to do with this super bold look is I would draw a line all the way along the bottom of where my natural brow is to connect it right there. That was a mistake because it's having this dropping down effect. So what I do instead is I draw a straight line even through the middle of my brow. Doesn't matter that it's not like waxed to infinity here to match up with that. Like I have a little bit of hair there underneath where I drew that line. Does not matter. That is going to be the bottom of where we're drawing in the brow. And the reason for that is that you're avoiding not only the drooping on the outside, but that drooping on the inside that's lowering the brow. And you can see already, even before I've done anything else, this just has a much more lifted look. I also prefer for my face less of that bold, stamped, strong outline. Again, I have small features, not a lot of real estate to work with here, so the more feathered and light I can make it look, the better for my face. If you have those big, gorgeous Disney eyes and lots of real estate up here to work with, a nice, easy, quick, bold stamp is probably gonna work just fine for you. Just place it appropriately so you're not getting it that drooped effect. Okay, I'm just gonna add a little bit of Merit Beauty, what is this? The Merit Beauty Volumizing Brow Pomade. I just add a little bit of this out towards the end of my eyebrow to give it that natural look with sort of like the individual hairs on the brow. The other thing that I never used to do was clean up the bottom line with concealer. I always felt like this was an unnecessary step, that it made the brow look less natural. Couldn't have been more wrong. So I'm gonna be using my Clinique Even Better All Over Concealer and just an old angled brush that I have. So I'm gonna steal a little bit of concealer from there. If it gets a little bit too heavy, I just dab it off on the back of my hand. And then I'm gonna go in, remember how I said I have some hairs here? Well, what that's doing is creating a shadow, even all the way out to the end here. And so with the concealer, even if you're not like trying to drive a really hard, unnatural line, putting the concealer on is just going to take away those shadows even more, because the shadows, having the darkness dropped further down, is what's shrinking my eyelid. So even if I can artificially make it look even a little bit bigger by getting rid of those shadows, it's just an extra step that I never bothered to take that now I cannot live without. So to me, looking at this, like I can already see the added brightness here under the brow. And you can see because of the brow product that I used, it still doesn't have that really artificial line to it. Like the brow still looks really natural. It's just lifted. All right, so we are already through tips 1 and 2. Tips 3 and 4 are both to do with eyeshadow, and very specifically with this spot on my eye. So this outer corner of the lid here, and this little sort of part that sets within that bone, that in that eye socket right here. So I'm just gonna go in with my Urban Decay Anti-Aging Primer really quickly and get that on both eyes. And for this demo, I'm gonna be using the Natasha Denona Glam palette from last month's haul. Really been loving this. On this eye, I'm gonna go ahead and just put down this transition shade here in the top corner, just so I have a nice light blending base, which I guess, bonus tip, I never used to bother with this step either. Makes a world of difference. So to start, I'm just going to go in with this crease color right here, start darkening up, lifting that crease from my natural eye further up toward the brow bone. And then I'm gonna be connecting it down onto the outer corner of my eye and dragging it down to the lash line there. I'm just darken that up a little bit more so you can really see what I'm talking about. In fact, I'm even gonna take a tiny brush. I'm gonna go in with this color Smoke to really just accentuate what's happening so you can see, because I can't totally tell on the viewfinder if you can for sure see. So taking the V that we've started with and starting to deepen it up as you would before you go in with a blending brush. Okay, so because I have hooded eyes, when my eye is closed, I am doing a great job with my V here, right? It's connected down onto the lash line. Everything looks pretty much in alignment. The second I open my eye, it looks like I have this jagged line now that's kind of going from out here into here and straight down. And there's this spot right here at the tip of my brush that has no eyeshadow coverage. When I close my eye, it's not as noticeable. It looks like you've got a straight line here. When I open my eye, there's no eyeshadow right here. So I'm gonna leave that on this side and I'll show you how we correct that over on the other side. But that is an issue. So I'm gonna just blend this a little bit so you can see what sort of the final look would be back when I used to just leave my shadow like this. Leave that alone there. And then what I will do is probably just go in with a center eyelid shade, like this one in the bottom center, dab my finger in that a little bit and just pop that on. That was sort of always like a classic easy day glam look that I would go for. So going over to the other side, I'm gonna put that same transition color down all over the lid to make sure I've got a nice base. So now we're gonna start out with the same thing using that crease color. Same process, lifting the crease up further onto the brow bone. Okay, so on this eye now, I've gotten us basically to the same place we were at over here before we went in with the blend. You can see the same issue is happening here. I've got this line coming down and then ducking in and leaving this spot right here bare. So what I'm gonna do with that tiny mini round brush, I kind of start with the lighter color like this, and I go in and I just pack it into that corner. I'm not too concerned right now about the color coming out because we're gonna clean that up, which is something I never was concerned about over here, and that's gonna get us to that point number 2 about this darker sort of discoloration right here. But I'm just going to pack the color in to really make sure that when my eye is open, I still have coverage coming all the way down. I'm gonna deepen that up a little bit with that smoke color. And I'm even gonna go in with my baby blending brush and blend on the lid here, just like we did on the other side. And then honestly, you guys, before I go into the cleanup portion on the outer side of the brow there, another sort of bonus thing that wasn't on the list, but probably should have been, that's something I never used to do, was blend this top line really well going up toward the brow. So even though this is blended on this side, there's still a very clear line where that dark shadow stopped. So I like the color, what color is this? Color just number 1 in the Luxury palette by Wayne Goss, the Pearl palette. This is a really good color for my skin tone. To go up and I just right over the top of that line, blend that out even more, which again, is just another step that I never used to bother taking, but look at the difference. Look at how much brighter and more lifted that is, where again, that harsh line is just making this eye droop. Going out to deal with our 2 points here. We've now filled in this color. We need to clean that up. So what I have for that is another small angle brush that stopped being used for eyeliner a long time ago. And I like to use the Clinique Take the Day Off lids, lashes, and lips makeup remover. Any liquid makeup remover or makeup wipe will work for this. I take the brush and I'll dip it in here just a little bit. And then I will usually just pat off any drips onto a paper towel or something like that. And then I will make sure I'm not going onto the lid. So I open here, starting, a little bit further out. I swipe up and I just clean up this nice outer edge so I get a straight line lifting up and out. And then with that clean cloth, if I'm using a liquid eye makeup remover, I dab the skin here to make sure that there's no makeup remover left sitting on the skin, because that'll make it very hard to go into our next step. So if you get a little bit too sharp or, a little funky out here, you can blend out your top corner just with a fingertip. You can go back in with a brush and one of your blending colors and just sort of buff out the harshness of that corner. You can even just buff out that line a little bit if you want it to be softer. The point is just we let ourselves get messy so that we could fill in that corner. And now we're just tightening it back up. Okay, so now you have that finished, but now you can see, since we just went in with that makeup remover, I have the same problem on this side, that I have this natural discoloration here because my eyes are sort of deep set, sort of hooded. And where I left it over here, it almost kind of looks like an eyeshadow smudge. It's taking the whole look of the eye and making it curve this way. Now I don't have any under eye concealer on yet because I wanted to be able to dust off any fallout that we had while we were working here. But what we're gonna do is sort of double down on our concealer and reflective powders in this spot on the eye. So using that same brush that I cleaned up the under eyebrow area with, I'm gonna go in again and I'm going to just pack concealer out to this side of where we finished our eyeshadow. And I'm even going to take this up all the way to that line of the shadow, because I like for my outer V to sort of act almost like a faux eyeliner, so I don't have to go in with a really heavy liner on that outer corner and make the eye droop even more. So you can see, even before we go in with concealer under the eye, just what a world of difference it makes on this side versus this side. And now, because I have that lifted effect and I'm not going to be using an eyeliner, what I can do is use a tiny detail brush and go even a little bit darker from this palette. I'm going to take this lash line color right here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that darkness to the outer part of where we packed that color. And you can see how, because I have all this brightness here, doing that is not dragging the eye down at all. Whereas if I go back over to the other side and add this step, it's going to look kind of sloppy, even though I'm using the same application technique, because number one, I don't have this portion right here, this tiny little bit filled in. So it's going to look kind of squiggly. It's not going to look very sharp. And then because I still have this shadow over here, it's kind of going to have the effect of looking like a mistake. Okay, so I'm just gonna finish the eyes with a little bit of mascara and go in with my under eye concealer, and you should be able to see when I do this, I'm not gonna avoid that shadow spot. I am gonna put some coverage on it, but that extra layer of it over here that we did is gonna make all the difference in the world. I'm gonna put on a little foundation too. I'm gonna be using the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. Still loving this. Haven't tried anything since I bought this one that I love as much. The last step that I take to fix that discoloration at the outer corner of the eye is to take the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. This is the Celestial Light Catching version of this powder. And I will just take a really light brush into it and tap it off. And starting kind of from here-ish, just swipe. So it serves as almost like a setting powder, but it's got a nice light reflective quality. And it almost is going to be about where a highlighter would set anyway, so it just adds that extra bonus of reflecting light up out of that corner. Okay, we're going to be down to our last two makeup mistakes that I used to make here. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and set the rest of my face with the Beauty Blender Bounce powder in the shade Buff. Just bounce that in there and go around set the foundation. Okay, on the right side of my face, I'm going to show you how I used to go in with bronzer. So first of all, I would generally take a brush that has pretty densely packed bristles for color payoff, and I would go in that classic backwards 3 shape that they used to tell us to do, hitting your cheekbone, your jawline, and from the top of your forehead down. I'm going to be using the Haus Labs Power Sculpt Velvet Bronzer in shade Light Level 3 to demo this. So I would go right in, tap off, and sometimes I would start on my cheek, hoping that that would be the boldest, but I would sweep it in, down, and around. And I would do this until I felt like I had a nice contoured, sculpted, bronzed look to my face. And with nothing to compare it to, that looks all right, right? Nice, glowy, sunny appearance there. What I have since changed, I now use a fluffier brush for more delicate application. This is a Morphe M527. I've had this for probably 5 or 6 years. I don't even know if they still sell this one. And I go in still looking for some color payoff, so I pack the brush here. But what I do to continue with what we've done with the eye, with lifting everything in this direction, I just very lightly hit the bronzer at the top portion of my cheek. So it's almost, if you want to think about it this way, like I've turned my face toward the sun. If the sun is back up here, the sun is just kissing this top part of my face, continuing the effect of keeping all of the focus up here. So just a little bit of a sun kiss going right up here. Now we're going to be going with blush, and this is sort of in the same vein, bronzer, blush together. This is a Jane Iredale blush. I think she has since changed her formulas, but this was the Pure Pressed blush in the shade Whisper. What I used to do, I read years ago in a magazine that if you have an oval face, you want to put your blush here and here. So more or less right under the eye on the inside part of the cheek. On this side of my face, I have this new rule where I don't put anything on my cheek from the outer corner of my eye to my nose, because it's dragging everything down onto that part of my face as opposed to lifting up and out. So the same principle applies with the blush. I'm just gonna go in really lightly, more or less right over that bronzer. And I honestly only do this on days when I wanna pink up my face a little bit, as opposed to leaving it very bronzy. And then again, with that same sun-kissed principle, I'll maybe take what's left on the brush or add a little bit more pink peach to it and put it there. So what I've essentially done is create a little half moon of bronzer and blush, accentuating this upward outer corner of my eye. So that is how I used to do my makeup. That is how I do it now. The final thing that I have changed, updated, repaired, and how I apply my makeup is my lips and my lip liner. So I'm going to be going in with MAC lip liner in the shade Whirl. So on the right side here, I'm just going to line my lips. I have pretty full lips, so I don't typically get into the habit of overdrawing them. I really do just line them. So I would take the liner along my lip line all the way out like that. So it's just my lips, but lined. What I've started doing is bringing the liner in just short of the outer corner of my lip. And what that does is it kind of does give your lips a little bit of a punchy effect without needing to overdraw them. So there, before I even put any lipstick on, can you see how this side of my mouth looks more pouty just because I closed off the lip liner before getting out to the outer corner of my lips, whereas over here I've drawn all the way out to the outer corner. So let me put on a little bit of lipstick for you guys. This is just classic MAC Cream Cup, and there you go. You can see I have a nice like pouty, youthful look on this side of my lips, whereas this one really is just my lips, but lined. So that's it, guys. I think the title of this video was like 6 makeup mistakes that I didn't know I was making. I think I ended up going over actually more like 8, maybe 9 total count. I don't remember. But if you were making these same makeup mistakes, I hope you found the video helpful. So thank you so much for choosing to watch today and sticking with me to the end. I appreciate it so much. Please like, share, subscribe. It really helps the channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.